And welcome, everybody. This is This Week in Prophecy. I'm your host, Sherman Ray, and I want to welcome you all to the broadcast today. Hope everybody's doing well today. It's the first week in January, and so we're very excited about the show, about what's going to be going on this week. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope you all just had a wonderful couple of weeks. Over the last couple of weeks, we've been experiencing some great weather. We've been experiencing some great times, so I'm excited that we're all able to get here on the show. For those of you, this might be your first time checking out the show. We come here about once a week, talk about some of the coolest things that are going on in the culture and what that looks like prophetically. I mean, what is what is God saying in this whole thing? If you'd like to get in on the conversation, I'm going to turn on our going to be going on our YouTube channel. We're on GodstreamTV on our YouTube channel, and I'm going to go ahead and go on there. And as I'm going there, I'm going to bring on our co-host on the show, and that's Aaron Newton. Aaron, how you doing today, bud?
Hey, what's happening? I'm good.
Another beautiful day, man. Just another beautiful day, right?
Oh, it was great. I love cloudy days. I really do.
You love cloudy days, huh?
I lived in Washington for a couple of years, and every morning, it was cloudy and wet, and I loved it. I really liked it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, definitely. This is your great weather. See, I got out yesterday, so I got out into the weather yesterday. It was beautiful during the day. Got out for a nice ride, which I'm so excited about. So I'm very glad about that. So how's the New Year's getting suiting you so far?
Great. Oh, we'll talk about it. Actually, it's been real good. Real, just
Yeah.
hitting it like a lot of things, a lot of great revelations. Just I
Oh yeah.
feel like there's a lot of great on the horizon.
Uh huh. And
So
so God's
yeah, it's been
God's
good.
treating you good so far.
Yeah, it was good. My week, my vacation was awesome. This was the first, I look back and this was the first vacation where I felt at peace the whole time. Like
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go anywhere. Everybody came here, and you know, um, it was just like after everybody left, me and the wife had a couple days at home where we just watched TV and relaxed. I went to the bakery, got a couple strudels. Like it was just I didn't feel I felt at peace the whole time, and during my prayer time after, I was like, thank you for that. I needed that, just at peace. But then something I think it was Friday, I think it was. I was woken up in the middle of the night, and I heard this voice, and he said commitment, and I was just
Mm.
like, okay, now it's time to move forward with what he wants. There's been for myself, it's been a kind of almost what do you call it? Just I just want you to pray right now. That's all I want you to do is pray and say what I tell you. That's it. But
Mm-hmm.
now I feel like the harvest is gonna start beginning,
Oh,
and places need to be prepared to
yeah.
receive.
Sure.
Like I feel like everybody's like, well, we gotta go. No, no, no. Hold on. Receive first. We're gonna
Mm-hmm.
receive, but we'll talk about it. I got so much. It's been a good.
Oh, very cool. Well, great. Well, I'm so excited about it. And I haven't spoke to you since last week or anything like that. Do tell. Let's tell me about it. So you've got some time here. Go ahead and tell me
Oh, okay.
what's
Well,
God put on your heart.
I keep I go back and I review my dreams, and I review what I've written
Mm-hmm.
down, and just kind of like, what are you telling me?
Mm-hmm.
What's we've seen things how like we talked about on the show before New Year's, where like we talked about the alien ships in the sky, and like the drones and all these things, and like you know and it's like he's saying to me, like, these things are distractions, right? But I'm telling you it's going to happen. So don't be in fear. I want you to tell my people, like I tell you, we put it out here. Just don't be in fear. But these are distractions, right? These are things that are meant to distract us away from, whatever it is. And so, like, okay, but you know, he wants it said, he wants it out. But then I'm like, he's like, remember the dream with the fire falling, remember the dream where you're sitting, where the door opens, all these dreams. Like, I'll just give you one example.
Yeah.
So I talked about it. I don't remember exactly when I talked about it, but I had a dream that I was sitting at a table and I was eating a meal with all these men who are kings and priests. And the way they were dressed was like told me that this is what
Mm-hmm.
they were. They had these big like bearskin coats on, and they kind of looked. It was like a medieval type setting, and I'm sitting there and they're talking and we're just eating a meal, but the whole time I'm just watching and listening. I'm not saying anything. I'm just listening to their conversations. I'm just kind of, you know, just a fly on the wall, I guess you could say, but there's something about that too. But anyways, so it's just like I'm just watching and listening, and myself, I feel like almost humbled about it. Like, these men are exalted, you could say, or they're
Mm.
kings and priests, and I'm just somebody who hears. And so, anyways, so as we're eating, and I remember eating a chicken dinner. I was eating with my hands, and this door opens, and it's like a big wooden door opens, and I see this blue light, and it's so brilliant, this light, and I'm just like, whoa, this is. And I see a man standing behind the light, and you couldn't see his face, you just knew there was a man standing there. And he looked over, and he just said, welcome to the new era. And half of the men at the table couldn't see it. They just, like, what are you talking about? I'm like, don't you see the light? Can you see what's happening? And they're just like, what are you talking about? And so these things, like, he's telling me, like, the new era, here it is. Like, when the fire starts falling, just be ready to receive these
Mm.
people. Because, this,
Mm.
4 years, these 8 years, or whatever, however long, like, for me, it's been learning, training, what to do, what not to do, how to
Yeah.
treat people, how not to treat people, how to even, he gave me dreams where I was even watching the inner workings of a church, and how, it was like, how to just be there, and so what he wants now, right at this moment, right now, and this is the big thing right here, is that people who are in the body, like you and me, or when I gave that message at your church about love, right? And it
Mm-hmm.
was it was he wanted to make sure that he expressed how exactly we love each other, right?
Okay.
And
Sure.
so now he when I was in the military and I spent so much time with these men, and we went on deployment together, we fought, and we just had that bond that made us, like, I loved somebody in a different way I've never known before. I've grown up with people, I've known people all my life, and yes, you love these people, but it's a different feeling when you go through these experiences with somebody, and he wants his body now in these to learn that and to live that way, right?
Okay.
Because now, there's going to be this outpouring, and fire falling, and that I can't explain it. Just, he wants his people to love each other like that, you know.
Okay.
And so, but I know that we're like my toes hanging over the edge of the cliff, and I'm just waiting. And but that's, gosh, it's been since, like, right after New Year's, like,
Yeah.
you know, come on, come on, come on, come on, like.
That's
And I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm just gonna let him lead me, however it is.
sure.
But
Okay.
it's that commitment to, like, um, it's time to get back up, and I'm gonna put you somewhere. You're gonna make that commitment there to
Yeah.
continue on.
Sure. So what do you
It's
mean by that? Making that commitment that he's going to put you someplace, and is that something that other people could latch on to? Because that might be something somebody else is hearing you say that, and they're going, "Wow, Aaron, I'm hearing the same sort of thing."
well, so, like, things have happened to us, and we kind
Mm-hmm.
of, like, push it aside. I don't want to deal with that anymore.
Yeah.
Certain things, but your faith has to be still strong just in him. The
Yeah.
whole, the whole reason we all come together in that way is because of the cross and the blood. Jesus is our all main thing, and all those other secondary things, they don't mean anything until they mean something, right? So, like, that commitment, like, so you left where you're going and you're going someplace new, and some people fall, you're right, a lot of people just fall away from that. They just kind of like, I don't want to go anymore. But now we're making this commitment to continue on what we're doing, where we're going. And so it's just like, commit to him, commit to keep following, commit to keep going down that path.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. And have you felt prior that you just had not been making that commitment, maybe? Because I know a lot, and once again, and the reason why I say, because there's people watching this broadcast or will watch this broadcast, and they'll feel the same way you do. I mean, they feel like, oh gosh, I've been hearing the same thing. I mean, have you ever been to a place where, and I know I've done this, where I've preached a gospel or preached a sermon, and then all of a sudden 2 or 3 other people are saying the same thing, and it's like you're in a river, right? The Holy Spirit's in a river, the whole thing. There's a river of thought. So there might be somebody else watching this that is going to say, Aaron, I've been thinking the same thing. I mean, is there a way you can qualify it? Is there a way you can quantify it? Maybe describe it a little bit more, put a little more meat on the bones. How were you feeling? That you weren't committed? Is that what you were feeling, or that you felt like what?
No. To me, it felt like it's just like a new thing, right? And I need you to commit to it, whatever it is. Not like, oh, maybe, yeah, I felt frustrated and I didn't want to do things and I didn't want to be involved in this because I was hurt. You know what I mean? But it didn't take away from my relationship with him.
Sure.
And so now, like, maybe I went and I kept going and searching for this place where the puzzle pieces fit together, but I just wanted to be in the background. I didn't want to be rushed up to the I need you to do this, and then we're going to put you on this and this team and this team and this team. It was like, I just need a break. But now it's like, okay, I'm going to put something new in your path and I want you to commit to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not that I anything changed with my walk. It was that,
sure,
I was afraid to commit to things. I was having this kind of, not fear, but just this, I don't want to commit to it because this is what happens. You know what I mean? And
sure.
So he's just basically telling me something's new for you and something's new for many people. It's he's
For
pouring
many
out.
people. Yeah.
It's pouring out on the righteous and the unrighteous. And, we're vessels, right? So when he pours out, whatever's in us is going to come to the top and people are going to see it, right?
Yeah.
So, but in that time, like, he's pouring out on everybody. So he's placing people where he needs them, right? He's sovereign. God is sovereign and he has his plans, but he uses us in those plans if we obey, if we listen and we obey and we do what he says. So now he's saying, like, I'm going to give you something new and I want you to commit to it. And to be honest, oh my goodness, I feel like it's deliverance. It is even deeper in the prophetic, healing. Those 3 things for me. That's where I'm going. Like the deliverance thing, I feel like that's a big part of it, and the healing, but also just like deeper in the prophetic. As long as, like, the deliverance, I know that's not an easy thing to do. It's hard. You're gonna be you're gonna be called out. You're gonna be spit on, thrown up on, whatever it is. So he's saying, like, I'm gonna put you here, but I need you to commit to it. Don't it's hard. It's a hard job, but I'm hard headed. I'll do it. You know me. If I say I'm gonna come, like, all right, the drums, right? When I never played the drums before ever, and I was like, he put this fire in me, like, I need you to do this because my people need to worship there's just one guy playing the piano.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna do it. So I every day at least 3 hours I would practice.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
Cecilia bought me a drum set and then electric one, and I didn't really like it. I wanted a regular drum set, so I'm banging in the house. The house is shaking, but 3 hours. And then and so like every day, that was I committed to this. I made that commitment, and I gave it my all. And then like within I don't know, 4 months, 5 months, I was already playing on the stage. And then you came along and I was playing with you.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Sure.
wasn't always the best, but I was committed to like, okay, whether it comes out good or it comes out bad, I'm going to stick with it. And I don't know how many times I would sit down at the drum set and forget everything we were doing. And I'm like, I know that I know the enemy is confusing me. I know that this is like something in there is trying to confuse me. But I'm like, I'm gonna okay, you know what? I don't care. It's just gonna be loud and I'm gonna make a beat. And so as the time went on, like, okay, I felt peace again. We're playing. I'm feeling the Holy Spirit. I'm crying. I'm like falling out of my seat. Like, okay, you have to make that. You have to commit, make the breakthrough, and keep, and then you'll feel the weightlessness, the lift of it.
Sure. Well, that is so exciting, though. I mean, it really is exciting because, like I was saying, there's a lot of people, and this is not a New Year's resolution. This is something you heard from God that God is saying, "This is where I want you at. This is where I'm impressing you at." And there's somebody else listening to the show right now. You're either you're tuning in now or when you hear the show, you'll be tuning in, and you'll be saying, oh my gosh, that's exactly what God has told me, but I didn't know that's what it was, that God was, because they could feel something. Something was
Yeah.
stirring in them. They didn't know what it was. And maybe this is it. Maybe God is telling you, guess what? You need to commit. I've got a direction I want you to go into. And it may not be the prophetic. It may not be deliverance. It may not be healing. But it might be your family, right? It might be your family. It might be, excuse me. It might be music. Who knows what it might be? Maybe you want to join us here at Godstream. Who knows where it's going to be at? But God has said, go. I can imagine it's almost like Abraham. Remember, the Lord spoke to Abram, and he said, Abram, I want you to commit. Leave your father and your mother. I want you to go this direction. Didn't tell him exactly where he was going to, but he did say, I want you to go because I'm going to do some amazing things in your life. And along the way, there are ups and downs, okay, because there's not always, always rosy roads. But along the way, God kept showing him, this is what I wanted to do. And then I make a covenant with you, and I'm doing all these things. So I'm excited for you, dude, that God is doing some amazing things. And the prophetic is definitely one of them. Very excited about that, too. Yeah.
You know what, man? It's gosh, it's been so much this last week. I'm just kind of like basting like a turkey in it. You know what I mean? And so so I see it like this, like as these things progress, right? Like you
Yeah.
and me, we come on the show and we do this and we talk about dreams and what's happening in the world and like what God is saying
Mm-hmm.
and I go back and I watch somebody. I watch on Wednesday. I watch a show where this lady takes pieces from all these different prophets and said, "What are they saying? What is the common denominator?" And it's always the same. We're not a big like these people, but whatever we talk about, they talk about. And it's
Ah.
like we're all coming into this alignment, and it's who as his body, right? You, you have to, like some houses, right? It says that the Bible says that some houses are gold, there's items of silver, but then there's items of wood and clay. You have to come into that realization of who you are in Christ. What is your position? We're not all the same. He made us all individuals for a reason. And some
Mm-hmm.
people are hard headed and loudmouthed, and he uses that, right? I'm gonna speak to you. And some people are more temperate, and they're just like, look, I'm gonna teach you how to love each other. And that's
Yeah.
that's their job. Like we're all learning we are all learning and coming together exactly what our job is, you know. But some people, they just fight against it, But it doesn't matter. Like, the remnant is the remnant. With that means those people who will obey and listen. Those people,
Yeah.
and these things that we talk about here. This is just, I mean, what you asked me in the very first show. What is profit? And I felt at that time like I still kind of struggling to understand what's happening with me, But I knew who I was, There's so many things he showed me that told me, like, look, don't be afraid, right? One day I'm walking, I was crawling to my prayer room. It was so heavy on me. Something was just so heavy I could not even walk. I had to crawl. I fell on the ground, and I heard the Lord clearly say, "Read Jeremiah 1:8." Jeremiah 1:8 says, do not be afraid of these men. I'm there to deliver. I'm there with you. Don't be afraid of their faces, And if you don't do what I say, I'm going to put it on you. And so
Oh.
I knew what he was saying to me. And this was like a couple years ago. I knew that he was telling me who I was, what I was going to be. And I received it and I accepted it and I moved forward with it. But today, and from the beginning of the show to today, my view has changed quite a bit on how, you said, what is a prophet? It's like a vision for the future. Well, it is a vision of the future. But the job, reading the Bible and looking at the prophets, and what did they do? They brought the fear of God to the people. And that
Mm.
is what he wants his people to have. So many people are doing things which is bad, and we're seeing them fall. But you know what? The fear of God was not in them. And this is what he's
Mm.
showing me. It's not in him. I want my people not fear me in a way where they're afraid of me, but fear me as you would fear disappointing your father or your wife or your children or whatever it is. It's a loving thing. It's not a fear of intimidation and scared, anxiety. It's a fear of, like, what, God, I love you and I want to make sure that I always do right by you. And that's, to me, like, that is what the prophetic is, bringing the fear to the people. Look at Jonah when he went to Nineveh. He said,
Mm.
here's this. It was a small, just here's what it is. And what did they do? You know what? You're right. They knew that they were wrong. They knew. They even put sackcloth on the cows and the chickens. They went way above and beyond, and God spared them because they feared Him.
Mm.
They heard the voice of God working through one man, and they feared. It brought the fear to them, and
Mm.
you know that's really that's my
Yeah.
job. That's my
Yeah.
thing.
Well, praise God. Well, let's talk. So, some of you folks are. This might be the first time you're checking out the show, and you're just tuning into the show. Want to make sure you understand this is This Week in Prophecy. We're watching it right now online. So we've actually got the chat room open on our YouTube channel. So if you check us out, we're actually on GodstreamTV. So we'd love for you to be a part of that. If you've got any kind of questions, go ahead and put it in the chat feature. If you'd like to just write to us, go ahead and write to us at thisweekinprophecy@gmail.com. That's thisweekinprophecy@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. This show is always on GodstreamTV.com, and you can always check us out there. Also, if you just want to get the audio and you just like the way we sound, because sometimes the people they want to take us along with them. Go on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and we're up there. We generally have the show up in maybe a couple hours after the show is aired on Tuesdays, and we'll be up on Spotify or Apple Podcast. So, Aaron, let's get to some of these prophetic words, because you sent me a couple of them here today, and so let's if you don't mind, let's go ahead and get started with some of them.
Well, let's do this. So the first one, and I'll explain as I go along because this sounds pretty funny. It's
Yes,
but
yes, it did.
so this was the 23rd of May, 2023. I saw an Asian couple. It was a man and a woman. And they were talking about a plan to wipe them out, and that's all I really got from them. What they were saying, they were dressed. Okay, so so they were dressed like greasers from the 50s, right? And so I'll just read it and then we'll talk about it. So they were dressed like greasers from the 50s, but they were talking to an agent from our government, like CIA or Homeland Defense. I don't really know, but I just knew he was somebody that worked for our government as like an agent. I was pretending to shop, like so. I'm looking through these clothes. I'm pretending to shop, and I'm listening to their conversation, and one of them said, "They're with us." Somebody talked to the couple, and they heard what he had to say, and they started jumping up and down for joy. So let me give a little more context. And the Asian couple, this is what I got when I was kind of praying and meditating on this. Dressed like greasers. We hear things like on the internet, for instance, right? And they always use these. They don't use the kind. They don't talk the way that we talk. When it's like AI from China, they say things like, "This amazing salt hack is taking the internet by storm." We don't really talk like that. But they think we talk like that. So, when I lived in Japan, it was the same thing. Like this I buy this at the Japanese market, this tea, and it's like I can't really read it, but it says like, for your afternoon tea habit, deliciously enjoy. The English is messed up, but they think that we talk like that, so they print it on their on their tea bottles. And so what he's telling me is like, this is them trying to like fit in. They're trying to
Okay.
get in our society, or wherever they're doing it, but they stick out like a sore thumb,
Oh yeah,
right?
sure.
Yeah, because this guy had the pompadour with the leather jacket and the grease comb in his pocket and the
Uh,
greasy
uh,
hair.
sure. And this is present day,
Yeah,
but they were
yeah, this is
dressed
present
like
day.
okay, yes, of course they would stick
Yeah,
out. Yeah.
yeah. So they're thinking that they're like fitting in with us, but they're actually sticking out like a sore thumb.
Hmm.
So then he's talking to an agent from our government. So basically, what they're doing is something nefarious, and they're here like trying to ingrain in our society, but talking to the government, present government, and he's saying to them like, "Yeah, we're with you. We're gonna do this. We're gonna wipe them out, whatever it is." And when that agent said that to them, they started like, "Yay, yay!" with a plan. They were jumping up and down, all happy about it. And so I don't know why I was led to put this one on here. I'm just gonna like I haven't really got the end result of this, but I feel like we are now in a time of truth, right? People are searching for truth, and they're searching for the answers to things that we don't understand, like these drones, right? We
Yeah.
talked about that a couple shows ago, but the government don't say anything. Nobody else says anything, but people want the truth of what's happening. So
Hmm.
many things. And so I feel like this is something that's going to come out later, but I feel like I was led to tell it. So when it does come out, it will be like, here it is. This
Okay.
is what was happening. So
Okay.
we'll just
Fair
leave it at
enough.
that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it might mean something to somebody else. You never know. It might be. Because the cool thing about the word, the prophetic word, is that you don't have the. It's not mandated that the guy who gives the prophecy is actually the one who gives the interpretation of it. I mean, it'd be great if you could, but the interpretation comes from God, right? And God
Yes.
is going to interpret this thing. So, if it didn't come to you, that's fine. Okay, cool. So the next one is October of the same year.
Yeah. October 2023. So,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
So this one, I was traveling somewhere on the East Coast, and it's funny. Right after I had this dream,
Yeah.
two friends of mine went to Boston on a trip, and I thought it had to do with that, but I don't think so. I think it
Yeah.
was just trying to get my attention, like right after I had this dream. So, anyways, I was traveling somewhere on the East Coast, and I went into this bar, and I was trying to order some food. I was hungry. It was like a roadside, you know, roadhouse kind of place.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to like, so I went in this bar. I'm trying to order some food, and it was super foggy outside. I remember like driving and walking in. It was just super foggy, and so it took too long for me to get the food, and I was getting really irritated. And food. Then I was So I instantly was at home, and I ordered something. And this is the part of the dream that really said something. I ordered something, and it was like a little small package like this. So when I was at home, I ordered something from this man. He was Middle Eastern, and he showed up at my house to give me the box. And I said, He said, I'm supposed to deliver this to you. And what I ordered, and then what I ordered was very small, but this was a huge box. When I opened up the box, it wasn't just what I ordered, but there was all kinds of neat things from around the world. In the bottom of the box, there was a scroll. And when I unrolled it, it was the Declaration of Independence. And
Wow.
so, yeah, so this one, praying on it. I think that the East Coast part was, like I said, it was like, I had this dream, and then two of my friends like, yeah, we're going to Boston on a trip, and so they did, and anyways, I think he was trying to get my attention with something. But the second part, so when I ordered this thing, like I said, it was a real small thing, but this huge box comes, and when I open it up, there's like gifts from all over the world. Like there was one of those like Japanese drums where you go like this, and it has the two little things on it.
Sure.
There was stuff from the Middle East. There was stuff from South America. It was just like a traditional, like touristy thing that you would buy and bring home with you from different countries. And so I knew that like this one, I prayed about this, for a while, and it was like, look, I'm going to, the world, like you're gonna see this, you're gonna see these things, like I'm pouring out, like this has to do with what we talked about. I'm pouring out all over the world, not just America. I'm pouring
Hmm.
out everywhere, and here, like, this is what's happening, right? Like,
Yeah.
you, I really feel like I'm going to be doing this all over the world. But in there was like, do you see how like I'm showing you these different places where my spirit's pouring out,
Hmm.
and but when you see this, backbone of your country, get prepared for it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
Sure.
with the
Uh,
election that just happened, things like that.
yeah. So part of what you put on here, and let me back you up just a little bit to about midway through this, and you said there was a Middle Eastern man who gave you the box.
Yes.
Did that have any special meaning to you?
Well, so do you remember the dream that I had where I was? I think it was last week we talked about it, where I was hovering over Afghanistan, and I saw the, um, the cup or the funnel, and it just was full of the prayers of saints, and it was just like pulsating. It was like it almost looked like a balloon, but like in a cup shape. And it was just like pouring, like things were coming from heaven and filling this thing. And it was like one more balloon, one needle prick, and that thing was going to pop and spread throughout the Middle East. And I think that has to do with that. That man who gave it to me was like, I'm showing you, like, I'm pouring out on even the places we don't think that this could happen, but here it is. Because I remember in the dream, he was very friendly. Like he came to me, he's like, "Hey man, I know you just ordered this little thing, but I got so much more for you."
Wow. And the reason why I asked that is there is and I'm going to screw this all up, but there's a verse of scripture that talks about, um, uh, so I'll get the context of it right. So the apostles basically did not believe that Holy Spirit would fall upon the Gentiles
Mm-hmm.
until a foreigner came to, or a vision was given to Peter, I believe, and it was basically the Holy Spirit showing that this was going to happen. And it was basically, and oh gosh, I'm going to forget what it was specifically. Do
Okay,
you remember what I'm talking about here?
talking about the one with the tablecloth, and he's like,
Yes.
"You need to eat." He's like, "I
Yep.
have never eaten pork. Pork has never touched my lips."
Yes.
No, now you're
Yeah.
gonna learn how to be with the Gentiles. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay. So that's what it got to me is like somebody announced to you. This is what that I'm hearing is that a Middle Eastern guy is announcing to you. Guess what? This is something that you thought was a small thing, but it's a lot bigger than you think it is. Because you ordered something very small, and he brought you what you did not expect. It was actually something it's not as though you didn't want it, but you didn't expect it. Because when you looked at it, you went, wait, this isn't what I ordered. This isn't what I expected. But God is saying, no, no. But look, inside of this is a lot of stuff, man. This is this is this, and this is this, and this is this. It was just like the apostles. The apostles were going, no, it can only go this far. This is what we expected, and God's going, oh no, no, no. This is a lot bigger than that. This is this, and this is this, and this is that.
100% exactly right. I remember even what I ordered was I didn't say it because maybe people wouldn't understand, but it's a cleaning kit for a Finnish Mosin Nagant, which it just comes in a little pouch like that. But that's what I ordered, and you're right. It was a man, like, he was so kind. It was just something about him that just radiated light, and he was like, "I know you ordered this, but here you go." Like, I thought, like, it wasn't even that I thought, like, oh, America is gonna start this great thing. That's not even what it was. It was like, when you see this come into fruition, this Declaration of Independence, all these things are gonna mean something to you, right? They're gonna have a memory, or like I was there, and I got and there was 10,000 people got saved in one thing that I was involved in. This is gonna mean something to you. This from this country is gonna mean something to you, and it started with that man.
Yes.
I ordered something from him. I'm praying for this thing to pop and spread over Afghanistan and the Middle East, but what I got was the world.
Yeah, yeah, and the icing on the cake was really the last part of it, because the second part of this that I thought was I was going to ask you about, the Declaration of Independence at the bottom of this thing. Okay, the Declaration of Independence is what? It's the Declaration of Independence. I mean, it is what it is. I don't know if you can make it any more mystical than that, or any more spiritual than that. Right? It was our document that said we are free. We declare our independence. It's our Declaration of Independence, and it was So, anyways, did that have any significance to you?
Well, it's the foundation of our nation, the place, our home that we love, right? I love this country. I've been all around the world, and I really like living it. I lived in Japan for 7 years. I loved living in Japan. It was great. The people were friendly. The food was fantastic. There was no crime. Like, it was awesome. But I wanted to come home. This was my home. And when that foundation was laid, right, you build on top of that. And sometimes you have to tear things down, but then you're going to build it up even better. Yeah. And so, that it was like this is the amazing gift after all this is done, of what's happening here still, with maybe I'll be involved in, maybe not, but it's still going to be like, you're going to live by this again.
Yeah. Exciting stuff. And somebody's going to hear this. I mean, it'd be great to get the transcript of this on our at least our YouTube channel, or maybe even on Godstream. And we'll see if that's something we can actually do, because people want to hear this. Somebody's hearing this and they're going, "Oh my gosh, I wish I could grab onto that. I wish I could grab onto that vision, because that's what I'm hearing the same thing." I mean, we talked about this before. We talked about this before on the previous vision, is that somebody else might be saying, "Oh my gosh, I have felt the same way. I didn't know what it was, but this is exactly what God has spoken to me also." And I think that's exciting. I really do.
I'll say this. I was talking to a friend of mine at work, and he was visiting his sister when I was talking to him, and he showed her this show, and when he got on the phone, we were talking, and his sister got on the phone, she was telling me about a dream she had, and
Mm-hmm.
it was exactly like one that I had, but just a little bit different. It was the basic, exact same premise,
Mm-hmm.
but just different details.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's crazy. You got any more? Oh, she's like, oh yeah, I've been writing this book. There's so many more people out there with these
Sure.
other puzzle pieces. I talked about one a couple weeks ago where I was standing, and as I'm standing, I'm thinking about this dream. I'm standing, I'm holding all my dreams in the like each one is printed out on a piece of copy paper, and I'm holding that paper, and it's like I'm looking into the future. I'm just kind of it's like those posters you see of like the guy in the mountaintop with the flag. He's planting the flag, and the wind's blowing through his beard because he doesn't have any hair. But anyways, it's blowing through his beard, and it's like I see the future. And there's a woman standing next to me, and she has the exact same thing, and they're all different, but the same thing. But there's one more space next to her that's open, waiting for that third person. And we're both waiting for that third person to lay these out and tell the story that God's been showing us, and understand and then speak it. And so
Yeah.
yeah, there's I know there's more than I'm just somebody who just had a chance to speak about it on
Yeah.
your platform.
Well, praise God. Yeah. Well, so excited about that, man. And somebody might be watching this show right now, and you're just tuning in. And you're going, oh my gosh, I identify with what those guys are saying there. If that's you, you'd like to write to us at thisweekinprophecy@gmail.com. That's thisweekinprophecy@gmail.com. Love to hear your testimony. Love to hear what God is doing in your life. And definitely go to our YouTube channel, go to us on Spotify, maybe Apple Podcast. Love to hear from you. Also, if you want to check us out on GodstreamTV.com, just go ahead and go to GodstreamTV.com and just go ahead in the search bar up there, just search out This Week in Prophecy. Aaron, this has been fun. This has been fun so far. But we've got another one. We got another
Yeah.
got another thing that you were talking about, another vision. Go ahead, lay it on.
Yeah,
us.
let me tell you, I was praying about this like on my way home. Whenever I drive home, I just kind of like meditate, and that's when the trances usually come, right? But anyways, while I'm driving, I feel like I don't know how to explain. This is crazy, but anyway, so I felt like he told me this is for you.
Mm.
So I was walking from a theater, like an old movie theater, to a house, and I was bringing these two men back. I had to bring them back to the theater with me. And as we were trying to leave the house, people kept locking the doors and the windows and to keep us inside. And I knew these men were producers, and they were producers of documentaries. I was trying to get them to leave the house, and somebody kept locking the house, and we were trying to get out, but they were locking it with magnetic locks. And I don't know the significance of that, but we got out anyways. I knew this was the 1960s. We were walking back to the theater, and as we were walking, a tree branch had fallen, and on the path that we were walking, and the tree had all different kinds of fruit on it. It had like oranges and apples and grapes and all these different kind of fruit, and yeah, plums, apples, and people were picking the fruit off and eating it. And the man who owned the property, came out of the house, and at first he was really angry, but I saw that something changed in him, like maybe like a peace came upon him, and he said, you know what, it's okay, I'll build another one, and he started to build a frame. And I knew that there was going to be birds and plants in it, so it'd be even better than the tree. It was more like he was adding more to it, but he started to build the frame, and then I woke up.
Wow, that's pretty cool. And
yeah,
so who is this for?
So this is what I felt like he was telling me. It's for you.
Wow, for me.
Yeah. So I'll say this, like,
Yeah.
let me give you context of what it is. But
Sure.
I was walking from the theater. When I was walking outside, I saw the people. There was old cars from the 60s. There was women dressed in like dresses with little hats, and men were wearing suits. I knew they were producers of. I knew, and then the two guys in the house were like dressed like me, like modern day,
Yeah.
and they were producers of documentaries. I was trying to get them to leave the house, but something kept stopping us. Something kept trying to get us not to get back to that theater.
Yeah.
But on the journey to the theater, we found the beautiful fruit. So like imagine like you're trying to build something. You're going to have a lot of closed doors. There's going to be a lot of
Sure.
doors closed in your face, but it's that journey that's going to produce all this fruit.
Yeah.
And like I said, one tree had all the different fruit on it. The branch that had fallen right in your path. You're walking. Hey, like it just in that journey to the theater. You had to escape the shut doors. As
Yes.
you're on that journey to the theater, you found the fruit you were looking for. Like I need this, and then
Hmm.
somebody came out and said, I'm going to make it better. I'm going to show
Oh,
you how to make it better. Like, built the frame for this. Not only was going to have the planted trees and the plants, it was also going to have birds. And, like, not that the
nice.
birds are, I think they're just a metaphor to say that whatever it was, that fruit you were looking for, I'm going to show you how to make it better.
Very nice. I
So,
received that, man. I'll tell you.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
I,
sure.
on my way home, I was led to put this on the thing, and I didn't really understand.
Yeah.
But on the way home, it was like, just tell Sherman this is for him. Like,
Yeah.
so I'll just say that I know it has to do with the '60s because you're much older than I am. But
Ah.
so I'll just put
Did they
I
give
don't
you an exact date on this?
know, but
No.
I
Okay.
just saw like you could see the cars for where
Sure.
that era of cars changed a lot. So you would say
Yes.
like maybe 62 to 65 or
Okay. Very
66.
cool.
That was
Or
the era
66.
that I was because I could see by the cars they were that like 62 Impala to that like 66 Comet.
Okay.
That's what they
Okay.
look like to me.
Okay. It was the 60s, but guess what? So I am in my 60s.
I
So it
know.
does. All right. So I'm in my 60s. I was actually born in 61.
I wasn't going to
So
tell anybody.
no, you can tell him, but it's not. It's all good, guys. The gray hair is real, folks. It is real. It is real. So it's too funny that and once again I received that. I really do. And Aaron knows this, and a lot of people know we're growing a ministry here. We've got a couple of things that we're working on. We've got a lot of irons in the fire, and so to hear that that the Lord has given a revelation to you about this, because even when I was reading this and I was going, I wonder if he was saying that this is actually for me, because as I was reading
Knew
it,
you would think that. Knew you would
I'm
think
thinking, well, that just actually I'm receiving that, man, because you know what, God knows your heart. God knows exactly where you're going with all this stuff, and He knows that that you need an encouragement, and we felt very strongly that that we need an extra some. There's somebody who's watching what we're doing, and they're going, you know what? I think I can work with what you guys have got. I think I can really work with you guys, and that person that takes you to the next level, and that the fruit. Even when you were talking about the fruit on the trees, I was thinking about these kids that I work with on a daily basis, which is pretty amazing. And they are the fruit. They're the fruit that that is on the ground already. It's that ripe fruit that's just falling off the trees. Some of you know that I teach golf. I know it's kind of crazy, but I do. I teach golf, and so this will figure. So stick with me just for a second here, and then it'll make more sense to you. And I talked about this on a previous show that we did. I moved to the place where I'm working into now as a way of being able to work at a church. That's really what I did. Every year I've seen a significant bump, bonus, raise, whatever, every single year that I've moved into this particular job that I'm in now, working in the school. And then another thing happened again today. So it happened again today where I was called into the office to talk about another teacher that they want to do something with, and they said, Sherman, we'd like your feedback on this. And they said, oh, by the way, before you leave, I want to talk to you about your golf and the money that you're making in golf. And so we had a fundraiser. So we had a fundraiser at the beginning of the year. I asked a lady to come alongside of me. And she said, no, I'll do it for you. And I went, well, I'll help. She goes, no, don't have to do anything. I've got the whole thing. She did the entire thing. She raised, $1,000 or whatever it was for us, right? We used all that money. We gave it back to the kids. We bought all this great stuff. So wonderful. So I thought that's what they were going to call me in the office about, to talk to me about, was the money that we raised. And she goes, no, that's not what I came here to talk to you about. I came here to talk to you about us paying you for doing what you do. I get paid for doing this anyways, guys. It's during my work hour that I do this. They go, no, we know that you love what you're doing. We know you're giving of yourself and everything else. It is bearing fruit anyways. The more I do to pour out to bless God and bless the people, the more God blesses me. And the more I get to see these kids just get something that they would have never done. That's fruit, you guys. I mean, that is a God thing all over the place. But how this works into with what Aaron's saying is that as he was saying this, that's the first thing I was thinking about. When you were talking about this vision, I was going, oh my gosh, I see fruit every single day. I mean, every single day. And if I could see it even more on the TV end here, this is really where I think that's where your prophetic this vision was going to.
This was a June of 2023 that I had this dream. So, like, he knew that this day would come, and it was that time. And you know what else he said to me is, be careful. Right. So the branch that had fallen, even though people were picking the fruit off it, it was heavy. Right. It had too much on it. So be careful of that, not to go too far. Like, even though it was still bearing fruit and people were grabbing the fruit and it was great and delicious, just to be careful, because that man had to rebuild. He had to start over again. Even though it was better, it was still like, hey, don't put too much on the limb, because it fell. But still, people
see that too.
It's amazing, man. It's amazing. Just pray into it. It's all these are for people to pray into. It's not like, hey, tomorrow you're gonna wear blue jeans and black shoes. No, it's like, let me pray. Let me pray and listen to the Lord. So I know you had a couple articles you wanted to talk to about, and I was looking at one, and I think we could talk about this, and where the border wall stuff.
Yeah, you know what? Oh no, actually, I think what's going on currently right now with our federal government, stuff like that. One of the biggest things is really where we're seeing our elected officials now, because President Trump just came into office, and one of the things that we thought is going to happen is probably already starting to happen, and he has not even assumed office yet. And so one of the things, and I didn't send this to you, I don't think, Aaron, but I can allude to it. I think you probably are pretty up to date on this. Is that Joe Biden was saying that he was going to have a peaceful transition of power, but it doesn't look like that's what's happening. As a matter of fact, what has happened is part of it, and this started 4 years ago, is that he started selling off part of the border wall that President Trump was going to use. But the most current thing is that future oil leases on the eastern seaboard, basically, and in Florida, the Biden administration has basically said they're banning it. They're banning any future oil leases, which means if everything just stayed the same, that we would not be able to have any new oil exploration or the possibility of having any new oil in America, which necessarily would probably cripple our economy, which would probably send us into a whole different way of being. What I'd like your thoughts on that, though. I'd really like your thoughts on what you're seeing. Is this a peaceful transition of power? I guess first and foremost, and yeah. So let's start with that.
So, these. I look every day at the news and I read and then I pray about it. Like, Lord, what's happening? I pray against these things, whatever it is, But I'll tell you this: this is and this is what you call an adult tantrum. Okay, they
Mm.
lost. I'm not going to be in power anymore, so I'm going to do as much damage. Right, scorched earth. Right, we're going to scorched earth
Scorched
all the
earth.
way out of here. So, I think even oh man, this like we're going to make it as hard as possible. When we elect a leader, like we didn't elect him, of course we didn't vote for him, but these are elected leaders. They're supposed to represent the people, and they only
Mm-hmm.
represent the far left people who fund them. Okay, it's not
Sure.
the people of the country; it's the people who fund them. That's who they represent. So
Yeah.
we could go back and look at, the Freedom Medal. He gave one to Hillary Clinton and George
Mm-hmm.
Soros, the
Yeah.
people that fund them, right? And then I think to me that was like a punch in the face
Yes.
because
Sure. That was a
those
gut
people,
punch. Yeah.
yeah, it was a straight punch in the face to the American people because George Soros was behind so many nefarious things. All these DAs that he really paid for and boosted up to these positions, and
Mm-hmm.
all of them, it only hurt the people that lived in those communities. And so for him to do that, like, I mean, what has he done other than those things? Can you tell me one thing? No, I can't say
No.
any
No. No.
foundation where he's rescued children or done
No.
anything other than being George Soros, a billionaire. Nothing. So that to me was a punch in the face. But these are adult tantrums, right? They're they're
Yeah.
they're angry, right? And now I guarantee that somewhere in the White House there is designated cry rooms, and those rooms are full 24/7. But
That's
I just
probably. Yeah, I never thought about it that way, but you're probably right.
I,
Yeah.
I, I guarantee it's right. I guarantee there is an extra shipment of Kleenex to the White House, and it's been
Yeah.
coming since the election. But
Yeah.
you it's so dark.
Yeah.
Like I
Mm-hmm.
said, it's pouring out, and whatever's in people is going to rise to the top, right?
Yeah.
And so this is what's rising to the top.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
yeah, I think Aaron, what we're seeing is it really doesn't matter what legislation happens, it doesn't matter what agenda, doesn't matter what policy is going to comes across the line, okay? It doesn't matter what wall is going to be built in America. We have a spiritual problem with this country. You know, we're just seeing a manifestation of it now, and it's like a pimple that is rising to the top, and it's going to pop. There is an underlying sickness in America that permeates from the highest office in the land down to the dog catcher, and everybody in between. And unfortunately, that's the problem with this thing. I mean, it really is. So we see these George Soroses, and we see, you giving an award to a guy who's, a George Soros or a Hillary Clinton, or you give them to, any number of people that probably shouldn't have, or the pardons that they've. I actually, I know we only have a couple more minutes here left, but I know that one of the things that Joe Biden did was he pardoned all these people, let them get out of jail. 11 of them, I believe, or so, were Guantanamo detainees. And I'm thinking to myself, there is a reason why those guys were in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. They were in there because they hate America. And you just let them out of jail so that they can, what, become our best friends? I don't think so. And that's scary.
People should be able to hate us for free. Why do we fund all these countries? It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, like it's all just a facade, right? It's lies.
Yeah.
Like you were talking about the abortion group, right? They had to pay big fines because of
Sure.
they were lying on the signatures. People don't really want that. But
No.
they make it seem, oh, this is what the American people want. But they couldn't even get enough signatures to have enough on their, to put these legislation. It's all lies, man. It's
It is.
all
It is.
lies. But like I said, this now in this time, we're gonna be seeing even more truth revealed, and people are searching for that. They're waiting for it, but
Yeah.
it's things like this where now people are turning away from the big what the forcing down your throat of how you should believe, and they're just looking to two people who are talking about their opinions on what they think this is. And people don't want to be force fed a bunch of junk anymore.
Yeah, they
I
sure
really
don't.
think this is the future. This
Yeah,
really, not us. I'm not trying to say you and me, man. We're the future of America, but
we are
this
the future. Yeah,
interaction, this
yeah.
interaction between you and me, we've seen the rise of these podcasters and stuff. This is where it's going.
This is where it's going. It is. And we just pray that people like you folks that are listening to us listen in even more. Aaron, we got to run. We're out of time. But I will see you Saturday. And we've got a pastors conference that we're going to be going to. Cannot wait. It should be fun. And looking forward to having you there, eh?
Is Tommy going to be there?
Oh, yeah. I think Tommy's going to be there.
Oh, good.
Pastor Tommy's going to
I
be
want
there.
to talk to him. I was watching you guys' show. And maybe we're very similar. Like I listen to his views up there. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, right. You're right.
He's
yeah,
a good guy.
Yeah, you get him.
It's that heart knitted together, brother. We will see you again tomorrow, and we'll see you Saturday for sure. Okay.
Oh yeah, tomorrow, right? Okay, yeah.
That's it. We're teaching tomorrow. Okay. All right.
All right, man.
We'll talk to you later, brother. Bye bye. And folks, we want to thank you all for being a part of the broadcast. Thank you so much for being a part of This Week in Prophecy. Once again, if you'd like to write to us, go ahead and write to us at thisweekinprophecy at gmail.com, thisweekinprophecy@gmail.com. And I want to thank you all for being a part of the broadcast. If you missed the show, you can watch this on the replay. It looks like we got some folks that were late watching the show. That's fine. Thank you for being a part of the broadcast. And also, if you would like to get the podcast, if you'd like to get just the audio, go to Spotify or to Apple Podcasts, and you can get This Week in Prophecy, just the audio version. This has been Pastor Sherman Ray for This Week in Prophecy. Thank you guys for being a part of the broadcast. We will see you again next week for more This Week in Prophecy. You guys have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.